All right, gang, the next step in the process. We've got the house kind of dried in, and we are now ready to, got the framing all done, we're ready to insulate the house. Now that we can protect the insulation and a lot of the interior stuff from the elements. So let's get started on some insulation. We'll kind of go over some of the different techniques, the different types of products used, and you can hear a lot of stuff going on in the background. They're insulating this house now, so it's the perfect time to look at it all. All right, gang, we're gonna come in through the garage on this particular home. And we happen to be up in Silverleaf today doing this one. But you can see the gentleman there, what he's doing is he's putting up these cardboard stops, I might call them. And what they'll do, because they're getting ready to blow insulation in that attic space, and that's just to keep it from coming out over the garage space. It kind of holds it in place. And when they blow that in, that will be 12 to 14 inches. Before we go inside, one of the things that you may notice here in the garage is that that wall's not insulated. That one's insulated, and only a portion of that wall is insulated. The reason that is because that is air-conditioned space on the other side of that wall, and that's part of the entry space to the house, so that's going to be air-conditioned as well. Most builders do not insulate the garages, okay, unless some builders have the option for you to insulate the garages. This particular one obviously is not, and that's why, as you'll see, he's putting up the he's going to be putting up the guards here, these cardboard guards, but they're going to blow insulation in there, but you'll notice they don't have it coming out into the garage space. But in this particular home, they do have, of course, the radiant barrier roof deck coming all the way out to the edge of the home. So that's why the difference is where you have some but not others. Okay. So let's go on inside the house. We're going to see a lot of different things that they're going to do here. Also, you can see what they've done there when they blow in that part of the attic space. They have those baffles, and then depending on the angles of the roof and everything like that, they might somehow use regular roll-in insulation in a combination effect. So let's go look at the walls here real quick, because that's usually where people can you know, kind of think of insulation. Now, insulation's everywhere in your house if it's trying to seal the house from the elements, keep air conditioning and heat in, keep the elements out. So various places with various concepts, I'll say. So this is a room that has a lot of everything going on. This particular builder uses a radiant barrier, a radiant roof deck, and what that does is that silver coating on the inside of the roof decking allows the heat from the sun to hit the roof, but radiate it back away from the attic space, therefore keeping the attic space cooler, right? And if you excuse me, if you keep the attic space cooler, you help your air ducts, which are about R6 insulation factor. It helps keep them cooler, therefore keeping the air moving through them cooler. So that's a big benefit. So now we come over to our wall space. Let's go right up to these windows here. You'll better see. Now this particular builder uses a 2x6 frame construction. All right, so that's, you can see how thick that is. That's about 5.5 inches, that piece of wood right there, deep. So that insulation, this rolled fiberglass insulation, is R19. So you'll see how thick that is. And how insulation generally works is you want it fluffy. You don't want it compacted, you want it fluffy, because if it's compacted, it'll help create conductive heat and conductive heat loss and coolness loss. So you always keep it fluffy, all right? And then up there towards the top of the roof, you'll see what I call egg crates. What they are is, it gives the attic space the ability to breathe. The other side of those egg crates, if I was to look outside the window here, if you can see these, let me see. Whoop. We'll go outside the house in a minute and I'll show you them. But what they do is allow air from the vented soffits on the outside of the wall to allow air flowing up into the attic space and then out through off-ridge roof vents that we'll show in a second. What that does is that allows air to keep moving through your attic space. You never want to fully seal excuse me, you want air to move through your attic space because it helps keep the attic cooler, and it also helps keep moisture down in your attic space. Okay, so here's a real better position, I'll say, so you can see all this insulation around the windows. And also what they do around the windows is they foam them. Every place there's a gap is going to get some sort of insulation. Okay, there's another set of the egg crates, as I call them. All right, pretty cool. So that's R19 in the walls. You'll have an insulation factor of R38, about 12 to 14 inches of blown insulation inside the attic space when they get ready to do that. And they won't do that until after they sheetrock this, or else the insulation just falls through, right? So let's go outside and I'll show you the other side of the egg crates. There we go, guys. You can see the other side, and you see the gap between the roof deck, the radiant barrier, and the egg crate shape, and allows air from the vented soffits. This will all have soffit material here, have holes in it, be vented, and it allows air to move up through the attic space and then out from the off-ridge vents that keep hot air leaving your attic space. And furthermore, on insulation, if the builder is using 2x4 wall construction, that'll be an R13 factor for the insulation in the exterior walls. And some builders, even on the 2x6 walls, are using an R21 insulation factor. All right, so let's go take a little deeper dive and actually look at a piece of insulation. I'll kind of show you how it all works. All right, gang, we got a little piece of scrap insulation here. This one happens to be, let me turn it around for us. This one happens to be an R38, which is what we just said we're using in our walls, right? And the paper that's on top, that's a moisture barrier. That helps keep moisture from transferring one way or the other. But if you look at insulation itself, and this is, fiberglass insulation is kind of what we all think about when we think about insulation generally, right? And the thickness of it is great, sort of 2x6 wall, right? But it's also fluffy. And the reason this is created like this is because you want air gaps. Air gaps are what create or help create your insulation properties, okay? Just like your dual pane windows, there's an air gap between the panes, and that allows for, you know, lack of heat transfer. Less heat transfer keeps your cooling bills, keeps you cool on the inside and you're hot on the outside, and then vice versa depending on what time of the year it is. But that's what insulation does. Hey gang, a little postscript here. I was driving away from the house and I forgot one piece of the insulation factor, I'll call it. If you see right underneath the bottom plate, that bottom piece of wood, that the wall setting on the concrete, there's a piece of foam right between them. And that helps seal between the concrete and the bottom of the wall. Concrete's not perfect, neither is wood, and that helps take up the gap so that you have a barrier there as well for lots of different things. Moisture, maybe bugs, cooling, heating, that sort of thing. Now coming around to the inside of that same wall, you can see how it's sticking out just a little bit, and that again, that helps seal that bottom plate, that bottom piece of 2x6 in this case, to the concrete, because not everything's perfect in this world, and that helps seal it up from bugs or moisture and wind and all kind of cool stuff. All right, gang, I hope that gives you a little bit more education on insulation. The next thing we might see in this series is some sheetrock going up, and kind of show you what's going on with that. But anyway, I hope you're enjoying the series so far. Leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up or whatever, or ask a question, leave a comment, doesn't matter. We just like helping educate folks. So anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks.